showing some TLC to your HEART. Smarter Heart University and Dr. Scott on AM 970, The Apple.
Good morning and welcome back to your Smarter Heart University. Laughing because over the break, Tom called in and said, all this wine talk is getting me thirsty. Pop quiz answer. The so-called French paradox that wine is most cardioprotective is based on that less French people die from drinking wine despite either A, a high carbohydrate diet, B, a high fat diet, or C, a high protein diet. What is it, folks? The answer is despite high animal fat intake, the French, with their high wine consumption, have a very low, almost 50% less mortality from heart disease. Now, believe it or not, since the 1960s, many studies, as I said, centuries now has been studied, have suggested that wine demonstrates the most consistent and the most significant decrease in heart disease over beer and spirits. But recently, a number of studies have contradicted this demonstration in benevolence, in wine's benevolence. Invariably, our next popular question after the first one is, because it happens all the time, is wine really better than any alcoholic beverage? So let's examine this further. Is there any additional cardiovascular benefit than just the alcohol in wine? We've already shown you what in general any moderate, and as Dr. Kaiser said, only moderate intake does to your cholesterol, it does to your blood and your artery linings. So could just the grape itself and not the alcohol improve upon this? Many studies suggest yes. There are what we call, this is the medical terminology, polyphenolic components. So we're going to call them polyphenols for everybody. These are natural antioxidant substances that are released from the grape skin and the grape seeds as a defense mechanism. These are FYIs. Everybody write these down. These are defense mechanisms against ultraviolet light that the grape does, fungus, insects. So that's what they do. They put this in the skin and the seeds to keep the bad offenders out. Now get these, folks, phenols, and there's many of them are found in all types of alcohol, even white wine. I didn't even know that, just different forms. But it's the red wine polyphenol extract that's being studied to prevent the development of cardiac problems as well as cancer. And you heard that here. 3 phenols for those scientific geeks: the phenolic acids, the stilbenes, and the flavonoids, just for your information. But the big man on campus is the stilbene, and it's called resveratrol. But wait, and I stress this before everyone goes out and gets a bottle of this stuff, because every Tom, Dick, and Harry make this to get you spend your hard-earned dollars. Let's give you some facts you need to know. Resveratrol has been touted as the leading cause for the diverse health benefits of wine. Perhaps the greatest discovery this decade is looking at the anti-aging and wellness area in the finding of longevity genes. They've actually been looked at for the past 40 years, and these genes were first observed when scientists looked at how our bodies survive in times of feast or famine or fasting. These genes get turned on. They keep our cells from dying. That's it. That's the most simple way I could put it. They are called SIRS, silent information regulators. Again, for all you science geeks, and there's about 7 of them found in mammals and us. So why am I telling you this? Why? Resveratrol was found to mimic caloric restriction, and it turns on the main SIRT gene, SIRT1, and increases lifespan, first found in yeast and then found in rats. So are the anti-aging proteins turned on every time you take a drink? Because that's what they want you to believe. That's what some are saying, and a lot of studies need to be done, and I'm going to say that a couple times. So again, you're probably thinking, hey, why aren't we all drinking, right? Doesn't matter what we drink. Well, the amount of resveratrol, and this is a long list, folks, depends on the variety of the grape, the vintage. It's highly influenced by environmental factors, probably why France is the best, such as geographic location, the light, the temperature, the altitude, the soil, water, nutritional status, the type of winemaking process also involved. And after all of that, and this is where the pills come in that are available, a big consideration is what we call absorption and bioavailability. You need to know this about all supplements, everything, every nutraceutical, guys. This isn't just about resveratrol. In order to attribute any effect to a compound, it needs to be absorbed in a sufficient quantity by your body to exert its activity. Also, then once it's absorbed, it has to reach the tissues, where it's expected to act before it's gone and metabolized. That's the bioavailability part. So it's difficult to predict the amount of resveratrol that a finished wine, once it's done, can therefore contain due to all of these factors. So what there's also they found was that there was two different types of resveratrol. They're called trans and cis, TRANS, which is the most highest present concentration that you want in your body, the trans form. And that's what, if you're going to buy it, that's what you should buy. But again, the bioavailability, once you take a capsule, is very, very low. So here, the average drinker over a long time could, in theory, absorb enough quantity of resveratrol to explain the beneficial effects to our health. So the question exists when you take something like this is how much resveratrol you need to be taken, 250 milligrams, which is sell on the shelf, or 250,000, you heard it here. How much can we make more absorbable and bioavailable? What is well known is this guy, independent of alcohol, has the capacity to even more strongly become an antioxidant, lower your cholesterol, prevent clots, dilate your arteries and give them more arterial health in our bodies, as well as anti-cancer activity, actually by slowing tumor growth and development, especially in the lung, the prostate, and the colon. But breast cancer can be increased in women, and we're going to comment big time, so everybody listen to the next segment. Importantly, resveratrol may be the reason why there's anti-inflammatory effects of wine and neuroprotection effects. And these are like arthritis folks or Parkinson's or Alzheimer's disease, as well, finally, as the anti-diabetic effect of wine because of the resveratrol component. What do you think? There's a lot.
There is a lot. There's a lot. And basically what these studies are doing is people are pulling off resveratrol molecule, testing it in a test tube or testing it in worms or yeast, not necessarily in humans, a much more complex organism, and seeing what do we find as far as the biologic effects from one little molecule to the next little molecule. And that's what we're seeing. But we're not seeing the net clinical, if I take resveratrol, am I going to live longer? We don't necessarily see that yet. And it's also the bioavailability. Classic example is insulin. Why isn't there an insulin pill? Because when you take insulin, it hits your stomach, and the stomach acid dissolves it, so you don't absorb insulin necessarily.
Well, but that's actually where the anti-diabetic is, that wine decreases insulin resistance. It makes you more sensitive to your insulin, therefore your diabetes. It actually is safe and effective to do moderate consumption in a diabetic, which is contrary to what we used to say.
Exactly.
And it may even delay the onset of diabetes by decreasing. Remember, if everybody listened last week to there's no such thing as borderline diabetes. You know, the center of everything is insulin resistance. It causes everything. I urge everybody to go back and listen to that one. That was one of my favorite shows. Well, all of our shows are favorite. But the bottom line is, you're right, Bob. Not in humans. That's
the key. There's so many compounds we have that have shown promise as a molecule, shown promise in the test tube, then shown promise in what we call animal models, either mice or rats or something, and then we take it to the humans, and it just doesn't pan out for a whole host of reasons, not the least of which is the bioavailability and whether or not if I take this pill, is it going to get into my bloodstream, and if so, does it get to my the tissues that I need to get to?
Yes, and there was one study that they taught me when I was training that they took. They decreased caloric calories by 12.5%. They increased your exercise by 12.5%. And then they measured DNA. They measured the genes for cancer and diabetes and cholesterol, and they actually showed improvements. And this was one of the first suggestions that caloric restriction and exercise, we always knew. Okay, lifestyle, right? As Dr. Scott always says, if it looks good, don't eat it. Pop quiz number 2. Even if you consume moderate alcohol, Drinking which? 3 glasses, 5 glasses, or 7 glasses extra drinks on occasion. This is what I referred to what happened last night to all my friends. Will make you lose the protective benefits. So again, this is an important question, okay? So moderate consumption and then binging. Tune in next segment on Your Smarter Heart University, AM 970, The Apple.